Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build an upgraded and simplified Generation 2 raid farm for your Bedrock Edition worlds. As you can see, this raid farm is absolutely tiny, it is super easy to build, it's fully automatic and AFKable, safe, and it provides a ton of loot and experience as well. Overall, raid farms are one of the best farms on Bedrock Edition, and this, I believe, is one of the better and simpler to build ones. This raid farm also applies the looting 3 effect to every single mob that it kills, meaning that we get an absolute ton of things. For example, you're going to be getting roughly 3/4 of a double chest of loot per raid that you finish, and it takes roughly 3.5 minutes to complete a raid. This means that you get around 1,500 emeralds per hour, and it just means that you get an absolute ton of loot as well. Like seriously, there's just a lot of stuff. And then of course, there's also all of this other loot over here as well. And of course, this raid farm also gives you a fair amount of experience as well. It is equivalent to that of a blaze farm, so not like a super ton, but it does add up over time. So let's talk about some of the loot that you're going to be getting from your raid farm. We are farming 5 different types of mobs with this farm. We got pillagers, vindicators, evokers, witches, and ravagers. So over here on the left side, you can see that we're actually getting 6 different items from the pillagers. We're getting any kind of enchantment book in the entire game, including mending. We're getting the banners, which we can use as fuel. We're getting iron tools, weapons, and armor, along with crossbows and bows. You can smelt down all of the iron gear in a furnace to get some iron nuggets, and you can also use those crossbows for furnace fuel as well. Of course, the vindicators are going to be dropping a fair amount of emeralds when we kill them with our looting swords, and of course they also drop some iron gear as well. The evokers are some of the most valuable ones, as of course they're going to be dropping the totems of undying, probably the most valuable thing that you'll be wanting from this raid farm. They also of course drop a lot of emeralds. The witches that we don't get that many of drop the most items. They drop 7 different things, of course all the standard witch drops, and then of course the ravagers normally would be dropping saddles, which you could use to burn in a fire pit or throw into some lava, but with this design we're not getting any saddles from the ravagers at all because we're going to be killing them with lava. So just like all raid farms, the rates of this and the loot that you get depend on your game difficulty. If you want to get totems of undying and if you want to get a lot more emeralds, you need to be playing on hard mode, at least when you're using the farm. So how exactly does this raid farm work? Well, just like other raid farms, you're going to need yourself a pillager outpost. Not all of these ones are made equal and some are better than others. However, this is the only place in the game where you can get a consistent supply of the pillagers. We are specifically looking for the pillager captains, the ones with the banners on them. So they're going to be spawning at the top of the outpost here and then immediately falling down into our Trident killer, which is an automatic kill chamber. We'll be killing these guys and getting the bad omen effect all the time. Their items are going to be going down into a separate item collection system anyway, so that is going to be running absolutely all the time, and then you're going to be standing up here at the very top of the farm in this little spot right here. This is going to have a secondary Trident killer for all of the actual raids. As you can see, the raid bar at the top of the screen is powering up, and when that reaches maximum capacity, a raid is going to spawn. Now, because of the way that this farm is built, all of the raids will always spawn inside of this little area right here. As you can see, the pillagers are falling down, and then they're going to get killed in our Trident killer. So you can essentially just stand here holding a looting 3 sword for as long as you want. You'll never die or take damage for the most part, and that is it. The raid farm is now fully functional. When you're done, all you gotta do is turn off this Trident killer and turn off the lower one, drink some milk to remove any bad omen that you might have. So let's quickly go over all the improvements and upgrades that this raid farm has over my other raid farms. There is quite a few things that make this much nicer to build, much easier to build, and overall a more user-friendly farm, and I think you're gonna end up liking this raid farm a lot more than most other raid farms that you might have in your world. By adding a simple layer of leaves on the ground around our outpost, we're going to be preventing every single raid that could possibly spawn on the ground. I know that this is something that you guys have had happen randomly. The bottom of the outpost also has a couple minor improvements. First of all, you won't need as much storage or sorting, as you're not going to be getting any saddles at all, so say good riddance to your saddles. We also have a much smaller, cheaper, and simpler, not to mention faster Trident killer down here at the bottom of the outpost, which uses trapdoors. This is going to be killing all of your pillagers a lot quicker. Moving on up the farm, you can see that we no longer have a giant pillar of scaffolding going up, so you don't need to worry about a creeper at the bottom blowing up your scaffolding and basically ruining your entire farm. Nowadays, the scaffolding is all supported at the top here, so you can just fly up here with an elytra, or you can have a pillar of scaffolding if you want easier access that way. But as you can see, the top part of the raid farm is absolutely tiny. It is so small and so simple. Our upper Trident killer now uses an impaling 5 Trident, so that's going to be killing all of our raiders a lot faster. The Trident killer is also easier to use because we're not putting the hopper minecart inside of the leaf blocks, so it's just a block lower now. We also have our villager up here, which is now completely safe from raids. This guy will never get killed by raids, and you'll also never have anyone spawning on the bed. Breaking inside of the raid farm real quick, you can see the spawning platform. It is literally just 10 blocks. All of the raiders spawn on these. They take slightly more damage than they would normally, and then they fall down into the Trident killer. All of the ravagers will be pushed into the wall, and then they will be touching the lava. They'll also be floating upwards towards the top of the ceiling, allowing all of the raiders behind them to fall down. So all of our ravagers are going to get caught in this little trap right here, die, and not drop any saddles. Anyone that happens to be riding on the ravagers is just going to fall straight down once the ravager has died. So as you can see, the ravagers get pushed up into the ceiling, and they're taking lava damage the entire time. They will, of course, take a while to die because these guys have so much health, but once they do, the rider pops off and falls directly downwards into our Trident killer. This raid farm also doesn't need any boats because the evokers are all dying fast enough that they never have a chance to summon any of them. Now, you might be wondering why we don't use a newer kind of Trident killer with the trapdoors, and this is because it has no real effect on the speed of the farm. There's pretty much never more than one mob in the kill chamber, so it doesn't really matter how you're killing them. Because all of the raiders spawn on a single block, they naturally spread out into a single file line, so we can get away with using a simpler Trident killer. And one last thing before we hop into the tutorial, if you are enjoying this video, or you want to help support the channel, or just see more Bedrock Edition tutorials in the future, then of course consider subscribing. That is the best way to support the channel, and the best way to make sure that you see more farms and contraptions when I release them. And let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? For your convenience, there's a full materials listed down in the description of the video and a world download as well. The first thing that you want to do is find a good outpost somewhere not next to a river or a large mountain, and you're going to want to ideally find one with multiple spawn spots, but you won't really know that until you get into it. So once you have a suitable outpost, we need to go to the top floor and clear out this entire area, and then we're going to place in a layer of glass panes going all the way across this entire area between these 4 pillars and at head height. So once you have in an entire layer of glass panes, go ahead and back up about 30 or so blocks and give it a minute, and then you should see a pillager spawn. As you can see, we got our first pillager, and this guy is between 4 glass panes. So we can go ahead and remove some of the glass panes that are around him, and he's just kind of trapped in there. So now we're going to grab ourselves a locator map, or otherwise find which direction is north. We know that that is north, meaning that this right here is the northwesterly direction. So that means that this block right here, technically to the southeast of the pillager, is the actual spawn spot of the outpost. This is because the pillagers spawn on the northwest of the block, so you can have up to 4 spawn spots in your pillager outpost. So if you see more pillagers in the area, go ahead and kill them, and then do the same glass pane trick until you find all of the spawn spots. We need to build a Trident killer at each spawn spot. So now that we found the only spot that pillagers can spawn in this entire outpost, we need to build a Trident killer around this. So remove your glass pane panes, and then we're just going to build up an entire little glass wall around this place as well, just to prevent these guys from escaping. We now need to go ahead and place a glass block directly above that spawn spot so that their heads are inside that block, and then they'll get pushed to the side immediately. We're going to remove these 2 blocks right here, place a solid block and then an upper slab right there, and then just a regular fence post. This is of course lined up with the hole above it. We're then going to go ahead and put another wall around this. It's just to contain all of the pillagers inside of here and to keep them from leaking out. So go ahead and finish up your wall on those sides, and now we need to get in ourselves a lower trapdoor and then an upper trapdoor that flips in this direction right here. That is going to be for the Trident killer. Place in yourself a solid block right there, a solid block above that, and then a couple blocks going to the side. We need 1 more solid block right there and 2 more like this. Get in yourself a comparator, 3 pieces of redstone dust, and then another block right here with your lever on it. When you flick that, that should activate your trapdoor a whole bunch and be very, very noisy. If it doesn't, make sure your comparator is on subtract mode with that little red light on. We're now going to go ahead and place in a piece of rail right there and then redirect it so it's facing in the correct direction. Place in yourself a minecart right there and then a water bucket on that same block as well, and that's going to push that minecart directly into where it should be. So the pillagers are going to fall in there, get in the minecart, and then get killed by the Trident killer. We now need to throw in an impaling 5 Trident to kill those guys as fast as possible, and you just want to throw that on the middle of those trapdoors. Once you have that in place, fill in your last pieces of glass, and that is your Trident killer done. And now for storage, just go ahead and break out that block right there, and now we're going to go down a floor. Place in yourself a couple of double chests right here, going all the way up to the ceiling if you like, and then just hoppers behind those. If you're not interested in keeping the arrows, the banners, or the crossbows, you can just put like a piece of fire right there, assuming fire spreads is turned off, and then you won't get any loot or experience from this Trident killer. You'll only get the bad omen. Also, make sure that you place a torch right up here in the Trident killer, that way no spiders or zombies etc. spawn in there. Now that we have all these spawn spots marked out and the Trident killer is installed, that is really all we need the outpost for. You now need to go ahead and cover the entirety of the thing in leaves, just to prevent raids from spawning on top of it, or if you don't feel like spamming leaves on top of it, just go ahead and remove the entirety of the outpost, besides what we've already built with the Trident killers. You don't actually need the structure itself, we just need to know where those spawn spots are. And now we need to start expanding the farm upwards, so go ahead and stand on top of your outpost, and we need to figure out the Y level of it. It is currently at Y level 91, and we're going to be going up by 30 blocks, so that's going to take me up to Y level 121, and then I'm simply going to place in 2 blocks. It doesn't really matter where these 2 blocks are, as long as they are roughly above the center of your spawn spot, or above the center of your outpost. We're going to go ahead and place in 2 pieces of scaffolding above both of those, bridge out by 3 blocks, and then go to the side by 1, and do the same thing for this one right here. So essentially, we're just making this thing 4 wide and 3 deep. We're then going to go ahead and place 1 additional scaffolding right here, and this is going to be your actual AFK spot when using the farm. Very importantly, we need to place in 2 leaves above the solid blocks right here. That way no raids spawn there. And we're also going to put a layer of leaves going around the entirety of the edge, just to act as a railing. So now that we have this general shape in place, we're going to go ahead and start building the bottom of our Trident killer. So we need a 4x4 of solid blocks as the foundation of it. And then we're going to go ahead and place a 2x2 of leaves right there in the middle. Surround this with another layer of solid blocks. And now we're going to place a stair in this corner right here with 4 pistons, each facing in a different direction on the corners like so. That is going to push your Trident around in a circle. We now need to fill in these solid blocks for all of these corners. Place a dropper in each corner as well, and then we need an observer facing each one of these droppers. So 1 right there, 1 there, 1 right there, and 1 right there as well. Place a solid block behind each one of those observers, and now we need a tiny bit of redstone for item collection. So go to the back right corner and remove these 2 blocks right here. Place 2 observers facing upwards towards that dropper, and then a dropper facing away from the farm right here. Then an upwards stair and a leaf above that stair. We need a hopper behind that dropper pointing into it, and then another hopper to the left of it right here. We're going to go to the inside of the Trident killer now, break out this back right leaf, break out this solid block, and we should have a hopper right there. Go ahead and place in yourself a rail and then a hopper minecart. place your leaf back on top of that. And now we need to place a layer of solid blocks above the entirety of the Trident killer, and we also need to put another layer of solid blocks going all the way around it. So go ahead and fill in solid blocks in all of these areas, going 4 blocks tall. Do that on the back side over here as well, in all of these places, and then do it on the right side in all of these places as well. We also need to fill in some solid blocks on the front side as well, so just go ahead and fill in all of these blocks right here. Break that lever and move it a block forwards. And then we need one more pillar right here in this area. And finally, that is going to leave us with this little cubby right here. We need to go ahead and break out these 3 blocks and replace them with glass blocks. That way we can see into the Trident killer and see if anything is going wrong. And now we need to build up the drop chute in all 8 of these locations by 7 blocks tall. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and do that for this entire ring. And once you have that filled in, we're going to go ahead and place in 2 magma blocks on the front side here and make this 5 blocks long as well for a total of 10 magma blocks. We're now going to go ahead and place in 2 temporary blocks right here, 2 glass panes, and then 2 leaves to either side like so. We need to place a temporary block above each of those leaves, and then 3 blocks to either side of that as well, just to hold in our lava and to make sure that it doesn't spill absolutely everywhere. So go ahead and remove your temporary blocks, and then we're going to fill in these extra blocks here on the back sides as well, just again to make sure that lava does not spread. So once you have all of that stuff encased, we need to remove our temporary blocks. And now we need to raise this up by an additional 7 panes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And of course you want to do that on both sides as well. Once you get to the very top, place in a couple of temporary blocks going all the way across like so. And then we need 2 stairs on either side facing inwards like so. We now need to raise up these 3 blocks going all the way to the very top until they're at the same layer as that stair. And of course do this on both sides. Once we have these sides filled in, we also need to fill in this back wall as well, just to keep in all the ravagers and mobs. Now we need to go ahead and wrap a layer of blocks all the way around this magma cube platform here, and we're going to raise this up by 4 blocks as well. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and do that going all the way around this entire thing. Once those are filled in, we need additional walls going around this thing, so go ahead and place in 5 blocks right here and bring those all the way up to the top. Sometimes the raiders spawn in extra vigorously, and they'll push some of their raid members into the walls. These blocks are here to prevent those raiders from falling down to the ground, and these will also suffocate them as well. So this is the shape that you should have surrounding your spawn platform. And now we need to go ahead and place in buttons on the inside of this, 1 to either side, and then a water bucket on the back right side. Place in 4 layers of glass at the 3rd block up right here, and then a secondary layer on top of that as well. We also need 4 glass panes right here in this area to allow the ravagers to elevate. We now need to go ahead and place in some more glass panes right here in this area too, all the way up to the same layer as the other glass panes. Now place some blocks to either side of those panes, and we need to place an entire layer of leaves on this entire roof. So absolutely every single block needs a leaf on top of it. This will prevent raids from spawning on top of your farm. We also need to go ahead and place in another layer of solid blocks above this entire area as well. So just absolutely every single one of these blocks. We are going to leave this little area right here going straight down. That way the things that are riding the ravagers can be kicked out into an empty area and fall straight down. So place in 2 pieces of string right there between those blocks, and now we're going to cover up this entire area with some leaves as well. So now we need to cover in a lot of string. We need string to the sides of absolutely every single one of the leaves, and we also need string on top of every single leaf as well. We do this for 3 reasons. First of all, lightning can strike the farm, and if you have fire spreads turned on, that could burn down all of your leaves, and that would allow your raiders to spawn absolutely anywhere. Second of all, we are building with lava, and it loves to burn down leaves, so we also need the string to prevent the fire spreads there. And third of all, if you're building somewhere where it snows, the snow could build up over time and then allow raiders to spawn on top of that. So basically, if you're building somewhere that doesn't snow and you have fire spreads turned off, then you do not need to place in any string. And this is what it should look like when we have string absolutely everywhere. Make sure that you even have a piece of string right here in these corners to block that side from catching fire. And of course, don't forget to place leaves on this lower platform right here. You may also need to put string on these areas depending on your gameplay factors. And now it's time to place in the bed. We're going to place in the bed right here at the middle layer of this farm. So as you can see, we got 5 blocks up. It should be at the 3rd layer. We're going to go ahead and place the 2 leaves above it right there. And you may also need to place a string surrounding these as well. As for the villager, we're going to place in 2 temporary blocks right here, a leaf right there, and then just put 3 leaves surrounding those and remove your temporary blocks. Your villager needs to be standing right in here on this block. It cannot be a baby, and it needs to just basically be standing there. As long as it is on that spot, it will be able to link to your bed, and then you will be able to get raids as soon as you enter this area of the farm. So how do you get a villager all the way up to the very top of that raid farm? Well, there's 3 main options. You can put them in a minecart and then build a minecart rail going all the way up there. You can build a bubble column and elevate them in that manner, or you can simply get them in a boat, click on the boat with a lead, and then bring them up a pillar of scaffolding. This one is probably the most sketchy of all of them because the villagers can start to kind of fly around a little bit, but it's kind of also the funnest as well. The final thing to do is to put some water inside of your Trident killer, so simply click on that stair with a water bucket and then throw an impaling 5 Trident into your Trident killer as well. Go ahead and put back your glass blocks, and now it's time to build your storage system. For this, I'd recommend turning on your Trident killer and then throwing some items into your dropper right here. You should see those fall straight down, and then we simply need to follow these down. You might need to poke a hole in your outpost, but this right here is where all the items from your raid farm are going to land. So we simply need to build up a storage system. I'm going to put in a super basic one, just 4 double chests across and then 3 double chests tall, and then we're simply going to place a bunch of hoppers behind each one of these. So literally just a hopper going into the backside of every single one of them. This is not going to sort any of your items, but if you want to learn how to build an item sorter, I also got some tutorials for you and the iCards up above and in the description down below. So as you can see, this is all you need for a basic item sorter. We're already getting some items coming in, and this system is going to fill up from left to right. So now if you go ahead and turn on your lower Trident killer and then stand at the very top of your farm, you should get some bad omens shortly and start a raid up there, at which point all the raiders will fall into your Trident killer and your farm is officially done. Now, one thing that you do need to keep in mind is the fact that the lower Trident killer needs to be turned off before you leave the area. Otherwise, you might have the Trident fall down on the trapdoor and not get reactivated, or if you threw it in a bad way, it might fall down and break your minecart. So I would recommend turning it off before you leave the area or log out of the game. And of course, you can just leave that rail in there to make replacing the minecart super easy. To replace the Trident, you might need to actually break this block in order to pick up the Trident, but then you can just throw it again from the outside like so. It should just be somewhere in the middle of that trapdoor. If you find that this Trident killer is a little bit too finicky for you and it keeps breaking too often, then I would suggest that you build the Trident killer linked in the upper right. It's going to be simpler, but it's going to be a little bit slower, and that's really all there is to it. If you ever find that you're having some raids spawn on the ground randomly, I would recommend that you remove all workstations, beds, and bells from the area. If you got any of that stuff around, it could be considered a second village, and then your raids could spawn down here, and that would be a bad thing. You can also put a layer of leaves on the floor around your outpost, so you would start from the diagonals of the outpost and go out by 15 blocks. This is going to take quite a lot of leaves, but if you go to a forest with a pair of shears or a soak touch hoe, you can get tons of leaves super easily. So this is more or less of what your platform of leaves should look like once it's done. And if you still have raids spawning on the ground, then basically just remove your entire outpost, as they're probably spawning on like these fences or somewhere over here. And honestly, there's just a lot of places on these things that a raid could spawn, so it's probably in your best interest just to remove it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed today's Bedrock Edition tutorial, make sure to leave a like or possibly share around the video. Those are 2 of the best ways to help support the channel. If you want to see more Bedrock Edition tutorials in the future, then of course consider subscribing. And thank you ever so much for watching. I will see you down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.